What if the drink you thought was the safest choice turned out to be the one poisoning you slowly? Across America, more than 37 million people already struggle with diabetes, while the CDC reports over 128,000 hospitalizations every year from contaminated food and drink. Now Florida has urgently recalled 2,000 cases of 7-Up from Walmart shelves because what was inside the can didn't match the label at all. If something this ordinary can fail, how many other safe drinks in your fridge are waiting to betray you? How many parents are pouring these toxins into sippy cups? How many seniors are swallowing them with medication, believing it's harmless? And how many of us shrug off the risk because the price is cheap, because Walmart says it's fine, because we think one more bottle won't hurt? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Tonight, we uncover the 7 drinks at Walmart you must stop drinking immediately, because the next recall might already be too late. Number 1. 7-Up. You never thought a can of 7-Up could turn into a gamble, did you? For most of us, it's always been the gentle soda. No caffeine, lemon lime, bubbly comfort in a green can that looks as harmless as springtime grass. Walmart made it an unbeatable deal. 12 cans for less than $4, a little sparkle of normal life in a world where everything else feels expensive. But when Florida recalled over 2,000 cases of 7-Up, that sparkle turned into a spotlight, exposing a truth too many of us try to ignore. What we drink may not be what we think. And isn't that the cruelest joke of all? That the thing you buy because it feels safe may be the very thing putting you at risk? This recall wasn't about mold or bacteria you could sniff out. It was a wrong sugar blend, which is corporate shorthand for, we put something inside your body that wasn't supposed to be there. If you're diabetic, if your blood pressure lives on the edge, that's not a tiny mistake. It's a loaded gun handed to you with a smile. Imagine your doctor saying, we don't really know what you swallowed, but it's not what the label promised. It's like pulling into a McDonald's for a burger and getting a gasoline sandwich instead. Absurd, but somehow real enough when the very corporations trusted to feed America shrug and call it incorrect formulation. The bottler. American Bottling Company under Keurig Dr. Pepper swears it only happened in Florida, but how often does a corporate scandal politely stay put inside one state line? These cans aren't handmade pies cooling on a Florida windowsill. They're machine-filled, trucked coast to coast, stacked tall on Walmart shelves that see over 240 million customers every week. When one screw turns loose on that production line, the whole country could be drinking the fallout. And yet we're told, don't worry, it's local, like a hurricane that somehow agrees to skip your town because the weatherman said so. And here's the part that gnaws at working families the most. They know it's risky, but what choice do they have? The retiree on a fixed check grabs the cheapest 12-pack. The single parent doesn't have time to research recall lists between shifts, so they look at the green can, shrug, and say, one more can won't hurt me. But what happens when that one can does? How many more seniors must collapse in ER rooms with sugar crashes before we admit the system is tilted against those with no other options? When safety becomes a luxury, what do the rest of us drink? Hope? The real danger is not only what's inside the can, but what this pattern reveals about tomorrow. If today's sugar swap was brushed off with bland language, what's next? A chemical leak? A mislabeled allergen? Maybe one day the barcode scan's fine, the packaging looks flawless, but the contents quietly poison the most vulnerable. Is that the new normal of food safety? Finding out after it's too late? And who benefits when trust is broken again and again, if not the very corporations selling us the illusion of safety? It would almost be laughable if it weren't deadly. Walmart didn't halt sales immediately. No loud announcements warned the shoppers. No receipts flagged the risk. Unless you happened upon a recall notice buried online, you drank first and learned later. That's not oversight. That's betrayal packaged with a smiley logo. And if Walmart, with its empire-like reach, can't protect its customers from a botched formula, who exactly is left standing guard? Some say the answer lies in switching brands, in finding smaller names like Zevia or Virgil's Zero Sugar that submit to tighter testing and independent verification. Others go back to basics, squeezing real lemons into sparkling water, sweetening it with honey or agave, controlling the mix themselves. But deep down, the choice isn't just about taste. It's about refusing to play roulette with our health, while corporations profit off carelessness. Because the bigger wound isn't sugar or soda, it's trust. Once gone, can it ever be poured back? Or will the next mistake finally teach us that blind faith in green cans and big chains is the most dangerous drink of all? Number 2. Arizona tea. Picture the aisle at Walmart. Row after row of tall pastel cans stamped with cherry blossoms and that magic number, 99 cents. Arizona green tea looks like a gift from the 90s that never aged, a bargain that promises calm in a world where even a plain coffee can cost $5. Seniors reach for it because it feels affordable, dependable, almost innocent. But recent tests ripped off the label's mask, showing that innocence was nothing more than paint on poison. Florida's 7-Up recall already rattled shoppers. Now imagine realizing that something sold everywhere, every day, has been quietly feeding lead into your body. Independent labs, including one cited by the Consumer Wellness Center, found as much as 21.91 micrograms of lead per liter in Arizona green tea, levels more than 400% higher than the FDA's limit for bottled water. Not one batch, not one mistake, but multiple samples over years. That means millions of cans. The CDC already estimates over 500,000 older Americans carry elevated lead levels in their blood, often without knowing it. How many of those numbers trace back to Walmart's shelves, where pastel blossoms hide a heavy metal bite? And the danger doesn't vanish with one sip. Lead doesn't flush out like excess sugar. It stays. It settles in bones, clouds memory, weakens kidneys, raises blood pressure, even nudges the brain toward early dementia. For seniors already juggling pills and medical bills, every gulp of Arizona might be another stone added to a sinking ship. Yet no national recall has been issued, no store clerk warns you at checkout. Walmart keeps stacking the cans high, moving thousands per minute, while customers stack the poison in their kitchens. Is this what everyday low prices really means? Discounted health in exchange for corporate profit? Tracing the problem leads overseas. A Reuters probe revealed suppliers from China and Taiwan, regions with looser pesticide controls than US standards. Then there's the can itself, often lined with BPA, a chemical banned in baby bottles for disrupting hormones and linking to cancer. So while the label chirps about antioxidants and natural health, the reality looks more like a toxic punchline, motor oil dressed up as herbal tea. Yet Walmart keeps the illusion alive because the numbers add up. Arizona tea sits in the top 5 canned drinks nationwide, generating millions that no retailer wants to walk away from. What does the future look like if nothing changes? One path sees lawsuits piling up as more consumers test for lead poisoning. Another imagines regulators finally stepping in, forcing recalls that cut deep into corporate profits. Or perhaps nothing happens. Manufacturers source even cheaper leaves, suppliers loosen standards further, and customers keep drinking because wallets, not warning labels, decide the purchase. That's the stalemate. Shoppers trapped by budgets, corporations trapped by greed, both sides waiting for the other to break first. But while no one blinks, the slow drip of lead keeps filling our bodies. If you feel trapped, there are still exits, though they require looking past Walmart's towering displays. Tajava unsweetened tea is brewed clean and consistently tests with no lead detection. Japanese brands like Ito-En are exported under strict EU guidelines, offering genuine safety for those willing to pay a little more. Or skip the can altogether, buy bulk tea leaves from trusted US co-ops and brew them at home. It costs less in the long run and spares you the invisible gamble. But the larger question stings harder than any bitter tea leaf. Why do low-income families and retirees have to choose between hydration and harm? And when even a can as iconic as Arizona hides this kind of betrayal, how many more secrets are already sitting in our fridges waiting for us to take the first sip? Number 3. Vitamin water. It doesn't just sit on the shelf, it flaunts itself. Vitamin water, with its rainbow bottles lined up like a candy store for adults, looks more like a pep talk than a drink. The names alone, XXX, Energy, Restore, sound like promises whispered at the pharmacy counter. For seniors managing aches and illnesses, for workers running on fumes between shifts, it feels like a healthier soda, a tiny investment in staying strong. And Walmart knows this game too well, stacking vitamin water in towers, often pricing it cheaper than an actual bottle of generic vitamins. But every bright label hides a bait and switch so bold that even the courts had to step in. A class action lawsuit filed by the Center for Science in the Public Interest accused Coca-Cola, the brand's parent company, of trickery, marketing a sugar bomb as a health drink. Each 20-ounce bottle carries 32 grams of sugar, more than a glazed donut. Yet the labels brag about immune support and energy boosts. When cornered, Coca-Cola's legal defense wasn't denial. It was mockery. They argued no reasonable person should believe vitamin water was actually healthy. In other words, yes, we misled you, but shame on you for trusting us. That's the corporate equivalent of selling cough syrup laced with whiskey and telling customers they should have read between the lines. The betrayal deepens when you look at the ingredients list: crystalline fructose, artificial flavors, and the infamous Red 40. A petroleum-based dye linked to hyperactivity, migraines, and allergic reactions. Red 40 is restricted or banned in parts of Europe, and in the UK it requires warning labels. Yet in America, it flows freely into drinks sold at Walmart, right next to multivitamins and sugar-free oatmeal. The irony drips like syrup. A product packaged as health could accelerate the very conditions it pretends to prevent. The numbers should terrify us. The CDC reports 37 million Americans already live with diabetes, while 88 million hover in pre-diabetic danger. For them, vitamin water is a trap disguised as a solution, flooding bloodstreams with sugar spikes that worsen the very illnesses families are desperate to avoid. Seniors on fixed incomes often reach for it, hoping it'll keep their immune system strong. Parents tuck it into lunchboxes, thinking they're offering something better than soda. Meanwhile, Walmart keeps filling the coolers, its partnership with Coca-Cola ensuring endless supply and endless damage. The future looms uneasy. Advocacy groups are pushing for Walmart to stop marketing vitamin water in health sections or add clear warning signs for sugar-sensitive buyers. If more lawsuits pile up, especially in stricter states like California, we could see forced relabeling or outright bans. But another path looks darker. Corporations may double down, swapping in even cheaper additives, pushing new flavors, while the sugar and dyes stay the same. And what happens if Red 40, already linked to behavioral issues, is one day tied to degenerative diseases in older adults? What if crystalline fructose proves even more toxic under long-term exposure? In this waiting game, both customers and companies sit in limbo. Consumers gambling with health, corporations gambling with lawsuits. Alternatives exist, though they rarely get the same shelf space. Hint Water offers fruit essence without sugar or dyes. Ito En's teas, imported under strict standards, give genuine antioxidants without the neon glow. Even a simple mason jar with lemon, cucumber, and mint delivers more real benefit than any vitamin water label screaming XXX antioxidants. Yes, they may cost more upfront, but they don't sell false hope in a bottle. And isn't that worth more than a cheap illusion? So ask yourself, how many times have you bought vitamin water for someone you love, believing it was better than soda? How many of us feel cornered, convinced that healthy must mean shelf-stable, brightly colored, and Walmart approved? And the sharpest question of all, if even wellness is for sale, dressed in sugar and dye, how do we ever trust again what corporations call health? Number 4. UCC coffee. It doesn't come with neon colors or big words like immune boost. UCC canned coffee just waits quietly on the Walmart shelf. Sleek metal can, under $2, whispering sophistication without Starbucks prices. Seniors like it because it's easy. No brewing, no filters. Factory workers toss it into lunch pails. Nurses sip it at midnight. It feels efficient, even trustworthy. But open the can and you aren't just drinking coffee. You're swallowing a cocktail of chemicals that Europe and even parts of Asia won't touch. The first warning is sodium caseinate, milk protein altered with solvents to keep UCC's creamy texture. On paper, it sounds harmless, but the European Food Safety Authority flagged it for contamination with aluminum and chemical residues. Aluminum doesn't wash away, it lodges in the brain and bones. In older adults, where detox systems already slow, years of sipping can add up to memory loss and neurological decline eerily similar to early Alzheimer's. Europe restricts it. The US lets it slide into Walmart's cold section. Then comes potassium sorbate, a preservative so common it hides in plain sight. Switzerland and parts of Scandinavia banned it after studies showed that when mixed with other food chemicals, it may damage DNA. Yet in UCC coffee, it stretches shelf life months beyond what's natural, keeping Walmart pallets full. Customers see smooth and bold, never realizing each pop of the can might be a small DNA gamble. How many seniors are unknowingly stacking those risks one can at a time? Worse still, a Taiwanese safety group tested 7 UCC varieties and found 5 carried benzopyrene, a group 1 carcinogen formed during high heat processing. US regulators called the levels acceptable. But acceptable here was higher than what Japan or the EU would ever allow. Imagine that irony. A Japanese brand sold in America with chemicals too dirty for Japanese shelves. So why does Walmart keep selling it? Profit. UCC has TikTok appeal, an exotic label, and it's one of Walmart's best-selling imported coffees. Testing each batch isn't in the playbook. Relying on manufacturer claims is easier. And if you expect Walmart to be transparent, remember, this is the same chain that let 2,000 cases of contaminated 7 slip into Florida stores. The damage is already visible. The CDC recorded over 15,000 cases of chemical preservative poisonings in just 3 years, with seniors and the immunocompromised making up 70% of hospitalizations. That statistic alone makes UCC's can less sleek and more sinister. They're safer cups. La Colombe Draft Latte uses real milk, no preservatives. Chobani Cold Brew sweetens with cane sugar, not chemicals. For tight budgets, Mount Hagen Instant Organic mixed with oat milk beats risking a slow toxin drip. But the real question gnaws harder. How many other quiet cans are sitting on Walmart's shelves right now, filled with banned preservatives and carcinogens? And when convenience becomes complicity, who pays the price first? The companies or the customers too tired to notice until it's too late? Number 5. Great value apple juice. Apple juice feels like the safest bet in the grocery aisle. Golden, familiar, and tied to childhood like peanut butter and crayons. When it carries Walmart's great value label, shoppers don't think twice. At just over $2 for a half gallon, it seems like an honest deal. Pour it into a toddler's sippy cup, mix it with medicine for grandma, or keep it in the fridge for anyone too tired to question water quality. But what looks innocent in that jug has been exposed as one of Walmart's dirtiest secrets. Arsenic, pesticides, and foreign shortcuts poured straight into America's cups. Consumer Reports testing revealed that Walmart's great value apple juice contained levels of inorganic arsenic above 10 parts per billion, the same limit the EPA enforces on drinking water. That means the juice your child drinks faces looser regulation than the water from your tap. Inorganic arsenic isn't a trivial trace. It's linked to cancers of the bladder, lung, and skin, as well as memory loss in seniors and developmental harm in kids. A 2023 CDC study found more than 37,000 American children under 6 carried elevated arsenic or lead in their blood. Many families never suspected juice could be the source, and arsenic is only the beginning. A 2022 Environmental Working Group report showed more than 80% of private label juices, including Great Value, carried residues of diphenylamine, a post-harvest pesticide banned in the EU for its cancer-forming potential. So the very juice proudly sold as 100% natural in Walmart would be illegal across much of Europe. Americans, meanwhile, are left sipping what regulators overseas already deem too dangerous. Where does Walmart get it? Mostly apple concentrate shipped from China and Argentina, regions notorious for weaker environmental laws. Factories there scrape apples off the ground, coat them in pesticides, and funnel them into processing tanks before sending the concentrate abroad. Once in the US, it's diluted, boxed, and wrapped in cheerful orchard graphics. The average Walmart customer believes they're drinking sunshine in a jug. In truth, they're swallowing runoff from industrial farms halfway around the globe. The cost isn't abstract. Seniors with slower detox systems accumulate these toxins over years, worsening kidney disease, fatigue, and dementia. Children whose brains are still developing suffer stunted learning and lifelong risks. Yet Walmart continues to stock aisles high with great value jugs, responding to media concerns with the same tired phrase: our products meet FDA standards. Those standards haven't been updated since the 1970s. Meeting them is like bragging your car passed a smog test written before unleaded gasoline existed. Looking forward, the pressure is building. States like California are weighing legislation that would apply water safety limits to juice, instantly knocking Great Value off shelves. Lawsuits could erupt if parents tie arsenic exposure to health crises in kids. Walmart might scramble for new suppliers, but until then, families keep drinking, unaware they're fueling the next wave of chronic disease. There are safer pours. Uncle Matt's organic apple juice uses US-grown fruit, no concentrate. Treetop offers lead and arsenic-tested juice. Even a cheap home juicer with local organic apples beats the risk of Walmart's bargain bin poison. The real question is not about juice at all. It's about how much poison hides behind the words "great value." When the drink you give your child or your aging parent is laced with neurotoxins, what kind of value is that? Number 6. Body armor. The name itself feels like a promise. Body armor, as if one sip could shield you from harm. At Walmart, it sits right between water and energy drinks, dressed in bold colors and flavors like peach mango light or watermelon strawberry, whispering that it's the smarter alternative to soda or Gatorade. For parents handing it to kids after practice, for seniors reaching for something that feels healthier than cola, it looks like protection in a bottle. But the so-called armor has cracks, and inside those cracks are invisible chemicals that don't leave your body once they enter. Recent testing by the Center for Environmental Health uncovered PFAS. Forever chemicals. In multiple body armor drinks, especially the light line, these compounds used to coat packaging seep into the liquid and then into your bloodstream. The CDC links PFAS exposure to thyroid disease, hormone disruption, liver damage, lowered immunity, and cancer. The EPA's new water guideline puts safe exposure near zero, yet Walmart coolers are stocked with bottles that independent labs found containing more than 20 parts per trillion. That might sound small, until you realize these chemicals never leave your system. Each sip is a deposit you can't withdraw. In California, a 2023 class action lawsuit accused Body Armor of false marketing, selling itself as healthy while concealing PFAS contamination. Other states, including Florida and New Jersey, have launched investigations after bottled drink tests repeatedly flagged Body Armor. Walmart, as one of the nation's largest sellers, funnels these bottles into working-class neighborhoods, where a $2 price tag feels like a safer splurge than energy drinks. But no label warns that the natural hydration may come with chemicals the military classifies as hazardous. The irony is cruel. PFAS contamination doesn't come from the drink itself, but from the bottle caps, ink coatings, and labels. While you sip fruit-flavored electrolytes, the packaging bleeds toxins into your cup. The very armor meant to protect turns into the blade cutting you down, quietly, legally, and for profit. A 2024 EPA report estimated 98% of Americans already carry PFAS in their blood, with bottled beverages among the leading sources. For seniors whose organs process toxins more slowly, the accumulation builds faster, magnifying risks like cancer and immune weakness. Imagine trusting a product for immune support, only to discover it may reduce your body's ability to fight infection. Where does this go? Experts expect tighter laws within 2 years. New York, Maine, and California already banned PFAS in food packaging. If Walmart keeps selling Body Armor unchanged, lawsuits could stack up just like those that cost chemical giants 3M and DuPont $11 billion in payouts. But until federal action forces their hand, customers remain exposed, sipping chemicals with no warning label in sight. Alternatives exist. Numa Organic electrolyte drink used safer packaging. Liquid IV offers powders tested free of PFAS. And simple coconut water with sea salt has fueled athletes long before neon bottles took over shelves. Yet the bigger wound lingers. What does it say about our system when something named Body Armor, the symbol of safety, delivers hidden toxins into the very people trying hardest to stay healthy? So ask yourself, have you been drinking Body Armor thinking it was a good step? Have you brushed off strange symptoms, never linking them to what sat in your fridge? And if PFAS already hides in our drinks, how long before we find it in vitamins, bread, or toothpaste? Or worse, realize it's been there all along? Number 7. Diet Right. Diet Right doesn't shout for attention. No flashy commercials, no Super Bowl ads. Just a humble spot on Walmart's shelves, quietly promising zero. Zero sugar, 0 calories, 0 caffeine, 0 sodium. To a retiree watching blood pressure or a diabetic clinging to control over glucose spikes, it feels like a safe loophole, a soda without consequences, a small luxury on a tight budget. But the history of Diet Right tells a darker story, one of banned chemicals, revolving door sweeteners, and risks that linger far beyond the taste. This was America's first diet soda, launched in the 1950s with cyclamen, a synthetic sweetener later banned after rat studies tied it to bladder cancer. Rather than admit defeat, the brand simply swapped in another sweetener and then another, starting a decades-long shuffle that continues today. Its current recipe relies heavily on acesulfame potassium, or ACE-K, a chemical flagged in more than 37 peer-reviewed studies for possible thyroid disruption, insulin resistance, and reproductive issues. especially in seniors and postmenopausal women. The irony? A diet drink that could worsen the very conditions its target audience is desperate to avoid. ACE-K isn't a global standard. Germany, Switzerland, and several Asian nations have already restricted or banned it over long-term safety concerns. Yet Walmart continues to stock Diet Right in bulk, particularly in rural towns and low-income neighborhoods. Why? Because it's cheap, marketed quietly, and snapped up by shoppers using SNAP benefits or stretching their last $10. Unlike Coke Zero or Diet Pepsi, it thrives on invisibility, an underdog brand that survives precisely because it targets those least likely to question the ingredient list. The cost is visible in hospital data. A 2024 NIH report showed that nearly half of American adults over 60 regularly consume artificial sweeteners, with Diet Right leading sales among lower-income seniors. Those drinking more than 16 ounces a day had higher rates of hormonal irregularities, unexplained fatigue, dizziness, and ER visits for blood pressure spikes. Doctors often chalk these symptoms up to old age, but how many are really side effects of daily chemical cocktails disguised as diet soda? And the damage doesn't stop with the body. Toxicologists warn that ACE-K and sucralose, another additive in Diet Right, aren't fully metabolized and pass into wastewater, persisting in rivers and groundwater. Studies have already documented impacts on fish fertility and soil microbes. In other words, every can of zero-calorie refreshment echoes beyond your bloodstream, seeping into ecosystems, where even plants and animals bear the weight of Walmart's cheap soda. Better choices do exist. Spindrift Sparkling Water offers fizz with nothing but fruit juice and carbonated water. Solely organic sodas use natural sweetness without synthetic aftershocks. Even a pitcher of unsweetened tea with lemon and a dash of stevia offers the same satisfaction without turning your body into a laboratory. But the deeper question looms larger than any soda. Why are chemicals banned abroad still poured into the glasses of America's most vulnerable citizens? When did diet become a license for corporations to hide behind words while feeding us risks? So I'll ask you, have you or your loved ones been drinking Diet Right thinking it was harmless? Do you believe Walmart has a duty to pull drinks laced with chemicals other countries already reject? And if we don't demand better now, what other poisons will be quietly waiting in tomorrow's healthier choices? When trust in food crumbles, only truth remains. Subscribe now and stand with us against hidden poisons shaping our future.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our daily content. Now feel free to check out some of the newest and best videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.